So again, for those of you that just came into the room, my name is young-ginzburg. I have a company called Growth Circle Healing. I've been a clairvoyant for 20 years, intuitive coach, and also a sound healer for 10 years, and holding lots of ceremonies, lots of retreats, lots of workshops, teaching for years, and holding space like this. It's a true honor to do this work and to be a vessel for sound. And how many of you have seen how much sound healing has been changing lately? I've been doing it in preschools, middle schools, high schools. It's changing. I've been seeing it. Have you guys seen the video of it? The guy doing the sound bowl in the NICU? Has anyone seen that? It's changing. It's just evolving. And I've been in it for about 10 years. And it's just beautiful to see how it's evolving, and I'm so excited to be a part of this. And so I'm so excited that you all are here because you have this. It's your voice. This is your natural instrument. And it's your own sound that's even healing to your own body. And like mothers with children, the first song they hear is the mother's voice. And I believe that we all have our own energy signature sound. Like when we walk, and each day it could be different. One day you're feeling grumpy, you're like, that's your sound. One day you're like, hey, what's going on? Hi, Paige. It's all sound, right? Am I not right? Yeah. Give me amen. Okay, amen. Yes. So this is where I'm going with this. But before I get into this too deep, I want to share with you my story of how I became a healer. Would you like to hear that?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So I was born in Inglewood, California, and I was there until I was like 4 or 5 years old, and then my dad was transferred to Georgia. So I'm a 20 years raised Georgia peach, and so I grew up in Georgia, and my mom was really happy to move from California because the earthquake scared the crap out of her. And when I was a kid, I would sleep them up. I didn't know too much about it. I was like, whatever. But I grew up in Georgia and full of beautiful nature. Has anyone here been to the Deep South? Yes. You know, it's really rich with humidity. It's like green. Do you guys have lightning bugs?
Oh, yeah.
I remember, I was like, lightning bugs. Like for me as a child, seeing a lightning bug was like magic. And then on accident, sometimes you smush them. You know. Yeah, I won't go too much into that. But yeah, so lightning bugs, all that beautiful magic. And then also some of my first memories. So I'm born in 1976, so I'm a 70s, 80s kid. And some of my very first memories that I have with music was being around my mom. My mom was an incredible singer. She was trained in opera, but she never did anything with it. But I have this one fond memory, and a few of them, because we used to have this room in our house in Georgia where she had plants everywhere. And my mom was always very connected to nature. She actually taught me how to talk to trees at a very young age, but at that time I was like, what are you talking about? You know, but of course here I am now talking to trees. You know, there you go. So what can I say? So we were in this room with all the plants, and she would be singing to the 70s music. Two of her favorite artists were Barbra Streisand and Barry Manilow. Okay? So, you know Barbra Streisand's voice? My mom was neck and neck with that.
Wow.
Yeah. Could fill a freaking state with her voice. And her personality was the same. Okay? She could fill a room. And I remember as a child, you know, like when your parents are in front of you, they're like your gods and goddesses. You're like, oh, you know. So when I had these memories of my mom, I just remember just looking at her going, her voice was incredible. And not only could she sing, that lady could dance, she could move her body, like she was an epic singer and an epic dancer. And I know at a very young age, that's what I wanted to do. I believe that when you come into this life, you already have an idea of what you want to do. And that's what I wanted to do. I was very clear on it. And even though my mom was an incredible dancer, incredible singer, she was also very traumatized. My mom, like I told you about her voice, oh yes, for all of you astrologers out there, she was a Scorpio, and the aggressive Scorpio. So she would trigger people, she was very combative, she was very strong with her opinion, and very tumultuous. And so for me as a child, this was very confusing. Because here I had this goddess that I saw, that was like her voice, her movement, then she was so emotionally unstable. And why I believe my mom was this way was she lost her dad when she was about 7 years old. Her dad died of a heart attack, and she was a daddy's girl. So I believe that was first her heart being shut down. And she was the firstborn. So usually when that happens, very typical thing, firstborn, when one parent dies, guess who has to come to the forefront and take care of the other siblings? That was my mom. She was bitter about that. Bitter and angry, and also heartbroken that she lost her dad. So she carried that with her and never really faced it, and it created bipolarism in her. So if any of you guys know about bipolarism, it's a very up and down emotional ride. So for me, at a very young age, I was taught how to be a healer. And what I mean by that is that my environment was very unstable, and I had to condition myself to see what was coming at me. So I always was tuned in to like, what do you need? How are you? And it was usually always about my mom. Like, what did she need? Because she was so emotionally unstable. How many of you can relate to this story to some level? Yes. Okay? There's my mama. Her name is Beth. She's passed away now about 7 years. I know you're listening, Mom. I still love you. Which I do. I've worked on a lot of stuff with my mom, but this has created me to who I am and to be the healer. Let's talk about my papa. His name, also my mom's name was Beth. My dad's name was Michael. He was an interesting man. He was nowhere near my mom. He was very soft-spoken, very kind, wise man. I get a lot of my spiritual side from him. He was also the firstborn in his family. He was the sibling of, I think, 5 other kids, so he was number 6, and he was the firstborn, just like my mom, and my mom was the first of 4 children. What's interesting is that my dad also lost his dad at 17, but his dad died right in his arms, heart attack. Intense, right? In his arms, okay? Interesting. 2 matches, 2 wounds. And guess what? Dad had to fill that role. Responsible one. Now the thing about my dad is that he wasn't bitter about it, but he wasn't really family-centered after that. So I think there was a little bitterness coming in, but in another realm. So there's my mom and there's my dad. And so for me as a child growing up in this, I had like 2 different pictures going on, right? So but when my mom and my dad got together before my sister and I were born, my dad was also a Vietnam veteran. He came back from the war with a Purple Heart. And if you know anything about a Purple Heart, they've seen some stuff. And they've been wounded, physically, emotionally, spiritually, intense. So when my dad came back, welcome everybody, thanks for coming. Hey, Youngstar, welcome. So when my dad came back from the war, he was drinking. A lot of people do that to, subdue the intenseness that they went through in the war. So when my dad came back from the war, he met my mom not too long after that, and then they got married, 2 wounded parents, okay? And then my sister and I grew up in that. And so my mom was very combative. She would combat my dad a lot. And then my dad would be very quiet until he got so provoked that he would explode. And then my sister and I were always like, what's going on? We were confused. But for me, I became so tuned into my environment because I had to. It was a strategy for survival. How many can relate to that? Yeah. So, born a healer, very early age. So, fast forward a little bit, my parents finally get divorced when I'm 6 years old. I go to live with my mom. My sister goes to live with my dad. And in the environment with my mom, because she was bipolar, I was always tuned into like, how could I help? What could I do? My dreams as a child got pushed back. And my mom was the same. I mean, she had to grow up very quickly, just like my dad. Their dreams got pushed to the wayside. And so my mom, because of her bipolarism, her inner child would come out so much that I didn't know if I had a mother or a child that I was dealing with. So I had to grow up to be a mother at a very, very young age. Very confusing. So after that, I woke up a little bit, I'm like, I should probably get out of this environment. So around 17 years old, I move out of my mom's house, and I get my own place. And then I'm like, oh my God, this feels amazing to be in my own space. I'm like, not with that energy. And you know, I actually thought that I was a super loving, heart open person, but I didn't realize how traumatized I was by my environment and what I was going through. My heart was not really activated at that time. My childhood dreams were not really activated at that time. Everything was put behind, and more of the caretaker would, what can I do for you? How can I help you, right? Again, strategy for survival. So with this, I was like, okay, I really need to start finding myself. What did I love to do as a kid? I like to dance. So I started to go to parties. Anyone know what raves are? Yes! Exploring space! All right. So, peace, love, unity, respect. What do I say? So I found my dancer again at raves, believe it or not. I started dancing and moving and loving the music and the community. If you guys know about the raves, I was a 90s raver. So the raves back then were just everyone. All colors, all races, ages. Everyone was there, and literally it was all about unity. And I found myself there. The dancer, one little piece of myself came back. And so I was so into dancing at the time, I got kind of done with the rave scene, because after a while you can get a little burnt out, right? So I realized after that time, I loved dancing so much, and I was doing a style that was called liquid. I was really good at it. You should see the glow sticks. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. All right? So I had a name called Fluidgirl. This is how they like, who is that Fluidgirl when you're dancing? So I'm like doing this thing. And I didn't know that at the time. So there was a style of dance that was actually coming to me later on that was called popping. Anybody know popping? Mm-hmm. Yes, okay, street dance, break dance era. So popping, bam, 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 bam. And waving was a sub-style of popping. So I was like, oh, this is my thing. So in Georgia, I was done. I was done with the Bible Belt. I was done with too much of the racism that was going on in Georgia. I mean, there were really Ku Klux Klan when I was in high school. I was like, not my residence. So, decided, you know what? I'm done. Let's go back to California. So I did. And when I decided I wanted to move to California, I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna call my essence back, I'm gonna freaking dance when I go to California. So when I came here in the Bay in 2002, I was like, you know what? I'm going to enter the street dance community. Patrick's here. He knows this is the OG in the game, too. All right? So I got into the street dance community, and I just went into every battle, every competition, just dove head on in and developed a name for myself as Fluidgirl, the popper, right? And so I found myself again. I'm like, oh, there's my dancer. But then I realized I'm kind of traumatized because my partner at the time, he was reflecting to me, Chris, you know what? You're not communicating. You're not very open. I'm like, I'm not. Like, I'm not sure I am. But when he would try and get me to talk about my heart, no getting in there. He was too protected. It wasn't safe. Yeah? So I was like, okay, maybe I should get some Reiki. So, getting on Craigslist when it was safe. Reiki practitioner, come over to my house. And he comes over to my house. Again, this is when it was safe, okay? Comes over to my house at the time, I'm like, maybe this will help me. I just felt like there was a calling. You guys get the spirit call, you know what I'm talking about? I got the call. Reiki was the thing. So listen to the story. So he comes into my house, into my bed. Yes, this is how I lay on beds. Laying on the bed, and again, don't get me wrong, I knew nothing about energy work at this point, okay? Doing the healing, oh, this is cool, oh, wow, oh, whoa. The minute He gets to my heart. I see this picture in my mind of this man wanting to kill me and kills me by crushing me to death with a rock. What the hell is this? I'm like, again, I knew nothing about past lives, nothing. I was like, what is this? And so he keeps going. I'm sure there's other things coming up, but this was the thing. I'm like, what is this thing? So I get off the table, the guy leaves, and I'm talking to my partner at the time, and I'm like, there was this thing that came up, this like image of this man crushing me to death with a rock. I think I was a healer. And the minute that I shared that, my heart was activated. First activation. Poof. Energy just comes flying out of my hands. Big chills talking about this. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta do healing. Would you like a healing? Would you like a healing? Would you like a healing? Anybody? Floor. Ceiling. Would you like a healing? Floor. Would you like a healing? I was wanting to heal everything because, again, essence coming back to me. Reiki. Oh. Hello. Hey. All right. Again, what? So that was my first heart activation. And so after that, I started like healing this and healing that. But then I realized I get a little burnt out. Maybe I should learn how to meditate. Call number 2, Spirit. Chris, maybe it's time to meditate. Here I am again. On the computer. Looking things up. A psychic school? What? In Georgia, you get burned on the stake by this. So, Berkeley Psychic Institute. Before I go into the Berkeley Psychic Institute, I want to share that intuition, learning about intuition, has literally saved my life. And the reason that I say this is because I could have easily gone down the same path as my mother. And before I went to psychic school, I was going there. Very tumultuous. Y'all, you have no idea how traumatic I was with my body. I was convinced in my 20s I had diabetes. Convinced. Did I have it? No. But I was so traumatized by my environment and what I grew up in, I thought I had these issues. And then I went to psychic school, and then I actually realized how I wasn't my mom. How all of this trauma was in my body, in my field, in my ancestry, and past life ancestry, if you have a belief in that. I do. It helped me to realize that I was holding on to a bunch of stuff, and my heart was very closed. So intuition has saved my life. That was my first gateway. Second, activation. Okay? So I start reading people, start doing my inner work, and then I started getting a real taste of healing. Like, oh yeah, this is like a thing. Like, I really like this thing. And I was actually reading pretty quickly. One thing else I didn't share about my mom, she was very psychic. She would have dreams about people, and spot on, she would be nailing what was going on with the person. And so, when I was growing up as a kid, she would always try to promote my intuition. Like, she'll Chrissy, look at this card. Can you guess what this card is? And as a kid at the time, I was like, what are you talking about, Mom? Leave me alone. But then, here I am in psychic school later, my early 20s. Hello, foreshadowing. So, this was already in my lineage. So this was a part of me, and I was growing into it and learning a lot from it. But I was still not really there with the place I wanted to be. There was still some trauma. Guess who's calling again? Spirit. Hello, Chris. I think you should go to bodywork school. Yep. Next level, bodywork school if you're a cave. At the time I was working at a spa, I was a receptionist, became a manager, I was very proud of myself. And then I was like, maybe I should learn how to do massage and energy work, because I was already doing energy work with reading. Here comes the computer again. Vibrational healing massage therapy at the World School of Massage. Wow, this sounds fascinating. Anyone here heard of the World School of Massage? Yes! Anyone here heard of vibrational healing massage therapy? Yes! So I was a specialist in that. That particular work was life transforming for me. That school, which is now closed, the woman who created the school, her name is Patricia Kramer, she's now passed away. So swear to God that woman was an alien. I'm not kidding. In her classes, she would talk about aliens. It's like, last night an alien came to my bed, was like sitting there with me and doing energy work. I'm like, oh my God, this is my school, this is my jam. It was just my thing. I was like so like into it. I was like, so cool. Like, she's actually talking about aliens freely about it. But the reason I'm bringing that up is that this technique that she taught in this school, I mean, there was other modalities that you could learn, but the vibrational work was extremely powerful. There was 4 layers to this work. You had the body work, which is the body, learning how to shake and move and stretch and compress the joints to open up the fluidity of the body. Fluidgirl, hey, fluidity, I had a resonance with it. The next layer was breath work, where you would actually breathe into particular areas of the body to open up and to bring space there. And then the third layer, another activation, was sound. So you'd have someone on the table. You'd go over to the person. You'd find a spot. You kind of feel it. Oh, there's some congestion there. You'd hold space and you would making weird sounds. But that technique was profound. It opened things up. As a practitioner, I was like, what the heck is coming through me? Like these weird sounds would come through. Vowels, we learned how to do vowels. A-E-I-O-U to move energy. You could actually use your hands. You can do this at your own home. You could use your hands, like dune, yeah? To like clean and clear the space with vowels. A-U-E. Believe it or not, that stuff really works. And we were doing it with people over the table, okay? When I was receiving it, you could literally feel space open up in your body. Fascinating. And so when I was doing this work, song was coming through again. My voice was coming through. And I was like, oh my God, I love to sing. And I forgot. Another chip came back. I was like, there's another activation, it's my song. And so I went to bodywork school. I also did a holistic health program. I learned how to be a coach. I was doing such powerful work with the vibrational work. I was attracting cancer patients and working with them. And then one particular story was published in a book called Radical Remission. Anybody know this book? So it became a docu-series. I'm actually in the docu-series. I'm episode 3, Joe's story. I worked with Joe 6 months doing the vibrational work, and he healed himself of lung cancer. It's possible. So many more people are doing that now, and it's becoming a natural thing. Yes! We're so much more powerful than we know. So this work not only healed me, it was healing a bunch of people, right? So after that, I had gone through my energy work school. I was doing tons of healings, working with cancer patients, and then again, I started to get burnt out. And I was like, okay, time out, sabbatical time. So I stopped doing body work for a while. Went on a trip with my sister and then came back. Started doing healing work again, but then it wasn't kind of what I wanted to do, so I just started doing more energy healing and clairvoyant readings. And then guess what? Who called again? Good old spirit. Guess what, Chris? It's time to go visit the plants. Grandmother Ayahuasca's calling you. And boy, did she call. I was in ayahuasca ceremonies for about 2 years nonstop. Like every weekend, a few weekends, a lot. Who here has done ayahuasca? If anyone's done that, you know that's some pretty deep lineage work, okay? Not for everyone, okay? It worked for me. And in one particular ceremony that I wanted to share with you, this one is very special to me and dear to my heart, that I did a 3-day ceremony, and I worked with one particular tree. Her name is Noyarao. She's a cosmic tree. There's only a few of them here on the planet. A lot of them are in Peru. And there's a story that they were transplanted from the cosmos to the earth. And so I worked with her this particular weekend. And it was, again, a 3-day weekend. On the second night, before I go into this, one thing I loved about big ceremonies was the singing song circles at the end. I was always like, I want to sing. But I never did. I never did. Until, oh, look at that. Beautiful song coming into this space. Okay. Trust all the sound healing here. So, this one particular particular ceremony, in this particular circle that I was in, sometimes the shamans would bring someone up into the middle of the circle to do a healing. And so I went to the front, and I'm sitting down Indian style, and there's 2 drums in front of me. And then a boom, 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 boom. And the popper music. And so the tree sees it, and she's like, oh, okay. I want you to dance for the room. I'm like, all right. Boom, 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 boom. Now I'm in a psychedelic space doing this, okay? So I'm literally seeing my energy bounce around the room. We're in a yurt. And then the tree is like, oh, it's on now. I want you to dance for the land. I'm like, okay. Bam, 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 bam. I'm bouncing off of the trees, off of the grass, everything. And then she goes, dance for the planet. In my psychedelic space, I'm inside of the earth. Boom, 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 boom. Bouncing inside of the earth. And then I come out of this experience and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And she says, yeah, you're going to be drumming and singing. And I'm like, I am? This is nothing I ever planned for myself. That night, the sound healer was born. And so after that, I started drumming and singing, holding circles, and here I am today. And that's my story so far. More to go. So, thank you all for listening. The healer was born. I got activated in all of these ways. And again, this was 10 years ago as a sound healer. But this is why I love this work. It's profound. Yeah? This is a meditation that I do in some of my services. I'm an intuitive coach. This is what I was doing actually with the guy who healed himself of lung cancer, this specific type of work, where you would actually go into, I called it the C word, okay? And you would create a color. You'd see a texture. You get an emotion in there. We're going to do that in our throats first, and then we're going to do it in our heart, and then we're going to create a sound that represents that thing, the color, the texture, and the emotion. You all game? Yeah. All right, okay. So again, weird is good. So if there's weird sounds in here, just let it rip, okay? You promise to let it rip? Yes, okay. So you can keep your eyes open and your eyes shut. Breathing into your hearts, and then breathing into your voice. Breathing into your throat. And as you breathe into your throat, what is the color in there? Let it be the first thing that pops into your mind. And then once you get that color, what's the texture? Is it fuzzy? Whatever. And then in that color and texture, what's the emotion in your throat? It could be a cough too, yes. That's right. So let's go ahead and make a sound for what's going on in our throat. And it can be different from everyone. So count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Nandane, alala, nandane, alala, nandane, alala, nandane, alala. Beautiful. And then bringing that intention down into your heart. What's the color in your heart right now? What's the texture? And then what's the emotion? Now this is about activating your heart. So if you feel any heaviness in there, this is your time to let it go. Okay? So breathe into that heart. Breathe into that color, that texture, that emotion, and let out a sound. Let's hear it. 1, 2, 3, go. There you go. Get it out. Okay, let it get a little louder. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Hear your voices. Lovely. All right. So let's really get that heart activated. The sound of ah is the sound of love. God, Buddha, Krishna, Allah. It's there. Yep, look at that. Did you hear that? Oh my God. Thank you, sweetheart. Look at that smile. it, okay? All right, that's what I'm saying. Love it. Oh my God, that's so amazing. Let's do what she did. Okay? The inner child is here. There's no mistake. There's a child in the space. Okay? So breathe into your heart. We're going to let out 3 collective ahs. Okay? Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Put your hands on your heart. We're all one collective heart here. Okay, another round. Here we go. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Go. All right, last one. Make this one count. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Go. That too. Beautiful. How's your heart feeling? Anyone here feeling activated? Yay! Beautiful! Thank you all so much for coming. Take this practice home with you. Your voice is unique to you. It's your own instrument. It has so much power. This is why stuff like this public speaking is so freaking like, because you're being seen. And it's uniquely seen because it's your unique instrument. Use this. Be in the world. Share your voice. We need it right now, y'all. Everything is getting activated. Do you feel it in the world? The world is getting activated. And our voice is more important than ever now. Okay? And if you have trouble with that, come see me. I'm at booth number 47, Growth Circle Healing, along with Jennifer. She's an astrologer. We're sharing a booth. I'm doing many services to help you activate your voice, doing many sound healings and intuitive coaching. Please come see me. Thank you all so much.